Welcome and thanks for joining. In this video, we're going to cover the St. Tammany, Tangipahoa, and Washington Parish sales data for September. So without further ado, let's jump in.
All right, here we are at the handy dandy graph. Thanks for hopping on. Here, St. Tammany Parish. We're going to look at the three things we look at every month: average sales price, number of transactions closed, and the days on market. All right, so what did September do in St. Tammany Parish from an average sale price standpoint? It actually went up. I would agree with that. We've kind of been busy the past couple of months in the marketplace, which has been really good. Obviously, as a buyer, you don't want to see prices go up, and as a seller, you do. Unfortunately, that's just the market that we're in. Did that happen because of interest rates? Maybe a little. It's really hard to tell. End of the quarter end of the year is here. Last quarter tends to be movement in the market during that time. So let's just take a look at these. I'll try and move quickly so it's not a long dragging video as it can be sometimes. Okay, so we went up in average sale price in September in St. Tammany Parish. Not much, nine, almost 9 grand. How does that look like compared to the previous year? So if you go to, let's say, um, August of 24, the sales price was lower, right, by about 15. And then again, look at September of 24, it was lower. So at least we have some improvement in the market in September. It was higher in August. It was lower in August of this year. So September this year is higher than last year. So it's interesting that we're seeing a little reverse market trend. But look, in October of last year, the average sale price jumped. It looks like it's going to follow the same trend this year. That's I think it's very interesting. Um, be interesting to see where it goes. I think it'll do that because I've been really busy last month and this month. Let's look at volume, closed transactions. Here we are. We actually had a little bit of a cool down in August and September. Had a pickup in the summer like we covered before, and then you can see in August it started to cool off. Less transactions in September. I feel like October may be better. I could be wrong. It feels like it should be. Let's look at the previous year. So if we back up the graph, let's go. Well, at least we're closing more deals this time this year than last year. I would agree with that. Last year was a tough market. So you could see in September of last year, they had 239 transactions. 293 this year. That's actually pretty good. Like to see that. Like to see more transactions. I think it's helpful for everyone in that regard. And let's look at days on market to see what's going on. All right, here we are. Man, look, days on market was its highest in March of this year in a while, which is kind of crazy that it's only 52 days. We talked about that before. But then look, it bottomed out in May, and then here we are. We're 35 days on market is nothing. That's a month. I think that's super exciting if you're a seller in St. Tammany Parish. I'd feel really good. I would make me feel nice unless I didn't have a place to go and I have my house for sale. I hope you don't fall in that category. That is more stress than I think I can handle. So good luck to you. Okay, let's look at Tangi. Let's look at Washington. I'm not going to put them all together at the same time because it just shrinks the graph down, and it really doesn't. I don't like the way it looks. So we're just going to bounce from parish to parish, and then maybe at the end I'll throw them all together, and then we'll call it a day. All right, Tangi, let's see what's happening. Let's start with sales price. Okay, so it had a decrease. It peaked in the summertime, and then its average sale price, has kind of went down in September, August, well, July, August, and September. And look, their average sale price is tracking behind St. Tammany, 40 something $1,000. So it's cheaper over there, obviously. Did not getting in the price per square foot. We'll look at that another time for the sake of brevity here. Let's backtrack though and look at what it looked like in August to September of last year. Their average sale price is higher this year, which is good. I mean, I think here's the deal. I think market correction is about over. I think that if you were waiting for prices to fall, you should be buying, right? If you look at this graph, the prices bottomed out in March of this year. Over the past rolling 12 months, I don't think we're going to end up with a March as low as we did March next year as this year. It doesn't look like it. The graph says no. So if you've been waiting, you might have missed it. So get moving. Call your favorite realtor. Give me a call. We'll get you fixed up. Get you a good deal. All the things. Let's look at closed transactions. Man, look, we had a big spike. The graph's going straight up in September in Tangi Parish. I like to see that. They dropped down in August, but boy, they climbed in September. Their September numbers, right, are going to be higher. So 121 are higher than they've been since January of 24. So going back, over a year, which is great. So I think the market is improving. Let's look at last year, same time, same couple of months. Again, they're higher in now their August was better, right? Then they fell in September, but it's reversed this year, which is great. So that's all healthy stuff. Let's look at days on market. All right, they're only at 42 last month versus St. Tammany at 35. That's still crazy fast. I love to see that. They kind of had the same thing with their March being, the slowest month, which makes sense. Getting out of the wintertime, market starts to pick up in March. That makes sense to me. All right, last but certainly not least, our friends in Washington Parish. My office is close. I consider myself a Washington Parish agent just by proximity, also a Tangi agent by proximity, though my office is in St. Tammany, but I'm kind of like in that little corner where I'm just a few minutes from each parish. Tend to do everything in those three parishes. Have been expanding the business in the Livingston. I do stuff on the South Shore for those of you that I talk to regularly personally. But for the sake of this, it's always going to be these three parishes. If you want to hear a particular parish, holla at your boy, and I'll cover the details for you. Okay, sale price in Washington. Here we go. 156 last month. It dropped from 176. I think one of the things here is for us to realize there are so few sales in Washington Parish on a rolling monthly basis. You're going to have big swings in prices and numbers, and it's okay. So it fell. It's okay. Let's move back to the previous year. At least their average sale price is higher, which is good. Let's look at volume. Again, when you're having under 30 transactions a month, from a sales price, if you had $1 million house sell or a $25,000 house sell, it's going to mess the data up a little bit. So that's okay. But their graph kind of follows a trend, right? The up and downness of the market. Like we're busy in the spring and, in the summer it falls off. And then, which is interesting. It picked up last month, but it's falling down this month. It's fair month this month, so we'll see what happened transaction-wise. Let's look at days on market. They are not running much higher than St. Tammany and Tangi. About double for St. Tammany, not quite double in Tangi, but still, let's just be real. 65 days on market, 2 months, is not bad. That's not a long time. If we get into the 90 days on market, that's kind of going back to the slower times. I had to go all the way back to the crash in 08 to see what the days on market was then. I'm sure it was terrible. I know as a realtor then it was terrible, but we survived. We made it. I'm happy to see Washington Parish. Their market is healthy. It's the healthiest it's ever been, in my opinion, and values are as high as they've ever been. Even land values are as high as they've ever been. I think it's a wonderful thing for the rural property owners to be having an increase in net worth because of their land and home values increasing. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, so that's it. That's the three parishes. That's the three rubrics we're covering. Join me here again next month as we wrap up the next month to see what October has done.